A storm is coming.
Hey, yo, lesson here, babe. You come at the king, you best not miss.
Holy shit, Ellis child. Bandit. Dumbass. Play one of them if you want to make it out. Yeah.
Look, all my diamonds wet. I be fucking endless bitches through my Snapchat. They send me pictures of that pussy, I don't chat back. She had a baby trying to fuck me, she snapped back. She know a nigga always capping, he'll snap back. And I just trashed the SRT and brought the Hellcat. You know a gangster gotta fall, but you gotta bounce back. And man, you niggas way too old to keep on asking where your ounce at. Nigga hit me for a brick, I'm rolling out the bed. They got 20 on your shit, we'll take this 40 to the head. Millennial clip, they got like 60, got like 30 in the cig. And only thing we got spare is all the women and the kids. And let me tell you about my lady, that's my baby, and she story bad. Last nigga brought her Uggs, fully brought her Louis bags. Heard he disrespect my name, know them boys blew his ass. I don't know why sitting on all this money like I'm Mr. Krabs. I can pick out any bitch I want, I got the gift again. Any bitch that ever fuck with me ain't had to lift a bag. It's a motherfucking guarantee that she gon' get a bag. Best believe I keepin' all receipts when I won't send a bag. Look, coronavirus gave my boys a takeoff. We was making 3,000 off an 8-ball. Not to mention taking hits like we was 8 off. Roll up all the baking soda like we had a bake off. And all my niggas hustlers. That's probably the reason why these niggas never fuck with us. Cause all these half-ass plugs, you sell them half-ass drugs. And if you sell us that shit, you know it's stuck with us, don't kiss it. We gon' spin that bitch until we dizzy. We gon' find out everybody live and we gon' pop her like a willy. And we gon' keep them heats when they get chilly. And all my Glocks black on, they ready to get busy. No kizzy. Yeah, I peep the hate, but I got something for they dumb ass. All I need is one car with one Glock with one mask. Then I let off hella shots like I had a heat in both hands. All they gon' say a nigga Andy or the gunman.
Gang, shit. They back in the city, got game in the city. I don't think you niggas really hear me. Got a fly ass nigga dance with me. None of you hoes ain't really fucking with me. Some other niggas in the city real gritty. I'm stuck in my paper and in my business. But I stand on that real shit. I make a bitch bust a full clip. Pull up on me, you might get shot. I be the one saying fuck the cops. Bitch, do I look like an Octobot? I'm checking your spot just like the cops. I heard you was fucking with the op. Played on my time, you might be shot. Told y'all niggas that I run the south, but you run your mouth just like a clown. Bitch, who you talking to? I'll beat your ass like your mama do. I roll up in your spot, what you wanna do? Light and bow, who's loving you? I got so much shit that I wanna do. But when it's my time, no, I'm coming through. And I'ma get mine, and then I'm through. I'm busting at everything coming through. I get off my shine. I didn't hit the block. I'm looking for ops. I'm chasing that Glock. Yo, when it's gon' stop? I'm always on top. Ain't never gon' stop. Yo, I can't be stopped. I'm riding this beat. I put him to sleep. Yo, this shit get deep. Yo, I never sleep. You won't get no peace. Fucking with me. And I play this beat. Yeah, gang shit.
get caught outside, then you gon' get perk. Niggas say the word and we gon' perk. We gon' perk. We gon' perk. Bloody nightmares, all I dream is perk. If you get caught outside, then you gon' get perk. Niggas say the word and we gon' perk. We gon' perk. We gon' perk.
Fuckers you on, fuckers you niggas is on. We kicking the door, we busting the floor, we getting your family gone. Blood in the air, I'm smelling it now. No stopping the bully, I'm gunning you down. You niggas is kings.
Yo, chill out with you. What?
ACT, did you see this?
Look, if it ain't official DanaJay, Levi for Kelly, or Prima Donna News, I don't even want to see it. Take it off. Look, you got some weed? You gotta get some. All right, hurry up. These and them here, everybody here, we waiting on you. All right.
But I know that there's more. More for you, more for us.
DJ discretion.
Still sick, I ain't talking that pandemic.
DJ discretion.
Still sick, I ain't talking that pandemic.
DJ discretion.
Still sick, I ain't talking that pandemic.
Say you love it, what you gonna do now? Hope you're ready, cause I'm really about to put it down. Girl, you know that I will never disrespect you. We love tomorrow, but tonight I wanna spank you. That ass down, gotta make it last now. Start off slow, then I'ma beat it up.
Then I jump out. Instantly 100 camera phones pop out. Run straight to the back of the club in the corner. Then the bartender sipping bottles of the bubbly. Once I started sipping, ugly girls was looking pretty. Then I saw one that caught my eye. Baby doll shirt across her chest, it red kiss me. Tight skinny jeans, the girl's so fine. Some people say that this girl has a bad reputation. And some people say that this girl is a little too friendly. But she roll that booty like a hula hoop. She make it go up, she make it go down. She roll that booty like a hula hoop. I think I love her, I just wanna be all shawty. Think I'm she roll that booty like a hula hoop. She make it go up, she make it go down. She roll that booty like a hula hoop. I think I love her, I just wanna be all shawty. Think about after the club, you know the girl, I took her with me. Cause I had to see how she would put it on me. I wish you could have seen a minute girl was on a mirror. She did a lot of tricks like she was a magician. Put it on me from the bed to the floor to the kitchen. I don't care what my homies say, they don't know what they missing. Some people say that this girl has a bad reputation. And some people say that this girl is a little too friendly. But she roll that booty like a hula hoop. She make it go up, she make it go down. She roll that booty
talk to him. Yeah, that girl got a thing that'll make a man feel like she blew his mind. She does her and she let me do I. This one so ahead of her time. She gets down just right when we in the sheets. Still down when we ride, gotta hit the street. You should see her kitchen skills. That girl can handle me, and that's why I'm cool with ya. Make a nigga stay true to ya. You even be rolling my Dutchess, blowing nose like a hula hoop. Sweet tooth every day. She wantin' my Snickers bar, well I'm wantin' her Milky Way. She make it go, she make it go down. She wanna do me like a hula hoop. I think I love her. I just wanna be her shawty, think about. She wanna do me like a hula hoop. She make it go, she make it go down. She wanna do me like a hula hoop. I think I love her. I just wanna be her shawty, think about.
All right. What's going on, Dream Team? Early morning edition, we getting it in. That song right there is called Hula Hoop. It's by Giant featuring Shavy. Your boy, Dre, is in the video. So I think it's produced by Dre too. Gotta give shots out to where it is. The last two songs you heard, the one that just went off was Giant, called Hula Hoop featuring Shavy. The one before that was an intro by my sis, Leisha. She dropped that little straight freestyle. That's a freestyle she did. She did it on top of her dome. Also, Dream Team. We will be having a Dream Team mod meeting later on today. If you're a mod, if you have a chat, if you're a mod, then I need you in the meeting. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. The other link will be in the Dream Team for Life email. If you have a channel and you affiliate or part of the Dream Team, we definitely need you in there because I'm going to be dropping some information. As we're expanding, y'all know as I get better and better and great information and technology, I'm gonna share it with the fam first. So if you have a channel after this meeting tomorrow, I expect, and I'm just gonna keep it real with you because we got to soar above the rest. I have avenues to where you will not need to use StreamYard anymore. It's not crazy. It's not wild. It's not a bunch of gimmicks, but it's better than StreamYard. I have a channel on it. I've tested it. And when I say this is way better than StreamYard, so I'm just telling y'all, no need to use StreamYard no more. Pardon me for my voice. I'm hoarse. I'm going through, I don't know, man, yelling at, I don't know, man. I'm doing all the yelling and stuff at work and then coming here and getting hype. But you know, I like the little frog in my voice this morning. What up, I Am Jams Radio? What's up? Also, US Network. Gotta keep my boy over there with Melrose. My boy Melrose gotta keep it going. Tomorrow Leader Sports Network. He's still grinding and doing his thing. Senator Sane, I'm still gonna keep him in the loop, my bro, for real. Big by opinion. Definitely shutting it down. I went on a rant the other day. I was like, oh, whew, is everything okay? Do I got to call the police? Jesus, to lock him up. He was going off yesterday. So I'm going to talk about some things. Oh, Prima Donna News. I can't forget about that. Prima Donna News, YouTube, Twitter, and Patreon. and Facebook. But when you go to Prima Donna News, you have to go and take a look at Prima Donna Pastries. Enter at that site at your own risk. I mean, I literally can food porn that site. It's that good. I'm just giving you a heads up. Also, don't forget my bro Chris Starry as he continues to do his thing. Chris Starry is the man. He's rocking out. He has some major features. Do not sleep on the Dream Team. Sky Zone, definitely doing her thing on a late night Sky Express. Sky Life, my sis, indeed, definitely Sky Life is, and I thank her for last night. I do. I thank her for last night. I really do. But you know, I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about the Derell Mcdavid in response, and I'm going to read it. I'm going to talk about Jennifer Bonjean, in which she's experiencing the pattern that's continuing. Make it make sense. And now I'm going to start it off like this. I'm going to just go up the poll. I'm going to start it off like this. The response from Angie's live last night. It was kind of sickening. It was kind of degrading. It was kind of deafening. Not on the part of the host, though. On the part of who the host allowed. However, that's her domain. She runs that. I don't have a right, nor will I ever try to dictate who she allowed on her channel. But what I will say is this right here. I would appreciate if my name is never mentioned on that channel again in a demeaning and damning and lying manner. I sat back, I thought about some things. I done played with a lot of people. Playtime's over. If I hear my name anywhere, I'm not going to go back and forth with nobody else. We just going to get that paperwork done. Let's make it happen. So I thank Cardi B for giving a doorway. I'm tired of the slander. I'm tired of the lies. I'm tired of everything. Now it's time to put the slanderous shit to bed. At the end of the day, I don't have a beef with Angie. Y'all know me and her went through it before. I don't have a beef with Angie. But I do have a beef with Mr. Cross Your Line. Or should I say cross that line? I do have a beef with the dildo swinging, Bolingbrook capping ass nigga. And that beef ain't gonna be extinguished until I get what I want. So with that being said, as he travels from platform to platform to try to defame my name and spread lies, I'm only gonna put truth out there. And as y'all seen, when I broke down the email last night, when I broke down the fake call last night, when I played Levi's call, the real call, I knew it was going to put people in a frenzy. So he gets on Angie's channel and start spreading lies. Oh, they didn't let Robert out because of DanaJay. And $1 for the king. And I get the lie. And you gotta try to show that you ain't bothered when you really are. Now, here's the truth. Yes, the $1 for the king did have his own indictment. The feds scoped it. Scoping means they looked into it. When they looked into it, they found nothing but $10,000. Where's Robert going to go with $10,000 undetected? Nowhere. So they pretty much ain't paid that no attention. They checked into Doug Anton's bank account. Hell, but they even checked into the agency that Rob had from 2008 account, right? Nothing. They came and got my old computer. Found nothing. So I'm exonerated. But what they did keep Robert in there for, they looked on social media and they seen people talking about, not people, but mainly the Bolingbrook dildo slinger. They seen where he said he would shoot the cops. If he was on Robert's team, he would have killed the judge and everybody else. That came out of his mouth. They seen him take federal witnesses' heads and cut it off on live. They seen him boast about he got law enforcement and his family in New York. They also seen when he was the callous, AKA main person that went to the MCC that got Robert jumped on, that made the MCC get shut down when they tried to open the door. And when the warden came, he put females in front of him and let Trent take the fall. You see what I'm saying? This is what they seen. So what they said was, he still have people doing things, trying to obstruct the case. They also seen him on a video talking about blowing up cars. And he giving a full description of people say that he blew up a car, he got charged for it, but he said he didn't do it. So how they charge you if you didn't do it? On the flip side, they seen this man say he'd slap the shit out of R. Kelly and any of his supporters. But they also seen some of Robert Kelly's supporters ask that man to come across the street so that way he can slap the shit out of him. And he didn't do it. What up, Queen? This is what I mean when I say fake outrage from internet niggas. So on that note, I'm going to go public and say what I said in private. I will not frequent or visit any pages that let a pedophile, and it's documented, a known pedophile on their page. If you deal with a known pedophile, I'm not dealing with you. Nothing personal. We just have standards. And that's how we rock. We will not mention Rainbowski ever over here. But like I said in private, I told him on his page, I said it on my page, and I'm going to reiterate it. I'm not going to go back and forth and argue with you, homie. But when I see you, you need to stand on everything you said. You need to kill me. Now, That's 3 people you done said that. 4 people you done said that to. 4 men. And all of us saying the same thing. You need to stand on that. So standing in front of the courthouse, it's not going to save you. Because some men is willing to take that ride. I'm going to let it go like that. And I'm going to leave it there. Next thing I'm going to talk about is Don Russell. Today, he have a Curcio hearing. Ooh, did I do that? He have a Curcio hearing at 2 p.m. today in front of Judge A.M. Donnelly. I guess the result will come out later today or tomorrow, but I will be reading it here. Okay. Next thing. It's alleged, I'm not saying it's true, but it's alleged that Young Thug should be getting a bail on Monday when he go to Supreme Court hearing. Let's see how this turn out. But New York Senate approves of a bill limiting the use of rap lyrics as evidence in court. Could we see this be precedent all over the world now? The New York Senate approves of a bill limiting use of rap lyrics as evidence in court. Also, I'm gonna tell you what they said. It says, and this is blogged by Cache Roberts. It says, New York Senate passed a bill on Tuesday that adds new measures to using. Hold on, let me see if I can make it bigger. Nope. That add new measures to using song lyrics as evidence in the courtroom. Senator Brad Holman and Jamal Bailey sponsored the bill, backed by Jay-Z, Meek Mill, Killer Mike, and Fat Joe. Why somewhere down the line, I could have swore I knew I was going to read that name. What's good, bro? I see my big bro Dre in here. So, and it says Pitchfork reports that Senate Bill S7527 would not be an outrage ban on prosecutors from using lyrics or other forms of creative expression at trial. It would require them to prove the lyrics result from literally, rather figuratively, or rather figurative or fiction. The law requires just 1 week after Young Thug and Gunna were indicted on RICO charges, the bulk of the state's evidence against the rappers come from their music videos and lyrics. Before the bill becomes a law, it has to pass the New York State Assembly. Well, even though Jay-Z's part of it, let's just hope that it do pass. You know what I'm saying? Because now we can revisit some stuff in New York, because a lot of stuff that they try to use on R. Kelly came from lyrics. Let's go here. A music label will build you up to be what they want you to be. And when you deviate from what they want you to be, that's when your promotion stop. That's when your record sales stop. You know what? I'm going to do a panel probably tomorrow night, and we're going to talk about music business. We're going to talk about it. And I have some contracts, like Kanye West contract, that I'm going to read. Oh, yeah, it's kind of scary. Also, I was kind of worried about my BMF lead actors, because, you know, I'm just I'm a stand-in right now on BMF. So I didn't say nothing, but my bro Dre was like, yo, this publicity stunt. Yeah, that was a publicity stunt. They came together and did something on Instagram last night, and pretty much that's just to keep the BMF name out there. That's just to keep Meech's name out there, even though it was corny, but you know, it's weird too. But that's what actors do. The BMF buzz started to die down, and season 2 is about to come on in about another month. So you got to keep the buzz going. You got to keep it generating. So yeah, that's what happened. Also, leave Jennifer Bonjean alone. We've seen this time and time again. Now I'm going to ask this question. When I tell y'all these people are paid to do certain things, when would y'all stop questioning me and start believing me? Now, let's put some facts out there. I'm going to give you a name. Kara Sasha. Kara Sasha. She changed her name. I forgot what it was before. But this the person that got my last Twitter channel shut down. Claimed that I was bullying her when I will respond to the fake stuff that she put out there about me. And you know, my reply was savagely. Well, let's go here. You about to see some things that's about to make you mad if you for Robert Kelly. So let's not prolong it. Let's do it. Here we go. Steve Greenberg said, Jennifer is filing motions we would have filed when the time was right to file them, which is now. What law school did you go to? And how many cases have you tried and won? Kara Sasha pops up, no, Mr. Greenberg. Bonjean even said during the status hearing last week that certain things should have been done, but they were not. For example, getting a forensic expert to look at the tapes. You did nothing in either case. Greenberg responded, but I'm not saving and putting all that on my phone. I'm not doing all that drama. So let's go here. Kara Sasha also put, now check it. This is what you got to realize. Kara Sasha joined Twitter September 2019. She's following 35 people. She only got 38 followers. She's not following. She's not followed by anyone you're following. I'm following Jennifer Bonjean. I'm following Steve Greenberg. I'm following a lot of prominent people. But nobody that I'm following and follows me are following her. Make this make sense. She got my page taken down for bullying because, I mentioned Don Russell and I put the stuff out there. Then she ran with the Don Russell lie and said that I was the informant, I was the mole, all that. So we know where that came from. So I have to say that Kara Sasha is either one of three people. Don Russell himself, June Barrett, or Cash Jones. Those are the only three that operate the Don Russell affiliated pages. So Kara Sasha says, one, is antagonizing the co-defendant the right path to take? Why not work together against the government? If one goes down, they all go down. Where have you heard that from? Pay attention, because they reiterate each other's slogans. I am sure the government is sitting back laughing and enjoying the shit show that will benefit them in the long run. Then she says, 2, it's important to leave emotions on the table. Your client is the one that will suffer the consequences. I hope you vetted those allegations you made in your motion, because if what Mcdavid said in his motion are facts, then that hurts your client at Jennifer Bonjean. And you see she's tagging Jennifer. 3, it's doubtful the judge will sever or delay the trial. This case is not a one-woman show. Get some additional attorneys on board. They are waiting. Listen, get some additional attorneys on board. They are waiting. Don't let ego get in the way. It's not your life on the line. Who else came out and said they know some attorneys that's waiting to get on board a while back? And don't send money to the defense fund because they got to get Rob's real attorneys. Picture this. Listen to this. Hear this. Understand this. Whenever a lawyer don't fall in line with what Don Russell and the rest of them people want, they become a problem. And Don Russell and them find a way to try to get them lawyers out the way. We've seen it play out. Now, in his defense, he can always say, that's not me, because it don't have his name. But it have his narrative. It have his talk. It have his cliches. It have his slogan. You don't have to be pinpointed there for you to be there. Remember, he's an IT guy. So Jennifer Bonjean said the ultimate that's going to hurt a lot of his followers. This is what she said. This is what she said. She said, no, I'm sorry. She said, at my client's request, I try to keep his fans in the loop. But when fans without law degrees start lecturing me and assuming my moves are about emotion as opposed to strategy, I'm just going to do my job in silence. Hashtag free R. Kelly. Peace. What that signals is this right here. The outside world will no longer know what's going on step by step as she was allowing y'all to find out. Now she's going to go silent and y'all have to now rely on certain people once again. At the end of the day, she wasn't in the deal with the scamming. Once she came out and said, me nor my client is asking for any money, you seen that same person jump up and say, well, you must don't talk to your client. Wait a minute. She talks to her client on a regular. And you see that die down real quickly. Once myself and others start attacking the core link. Because when you start talking about writing core link, the criminal will fall back and say, oh, wait a minute. I don't want to get caught in this. I want to do it, but I don't want to get caught in it. You see, when I said something about the core link last night, everybody got in their feelings. You start seeing church ladies come on here crying. What are you crying for, boo-boo? And you start seeing, you know, the internet thugs come on here and start spreading lies. I don't know why you're doing that. Look like you walking with that dildo woman, you blah, blah, blah. Look like you walking with that dildo stuck in you, boo-boo. But why? Shout out to Trevin. That's going to be an ultimate soundbite for me. I'm going to use that as a soundbite. Shout out to Trevin. I got to do that. Look like you walk in with that deal. That's like you, boo. So, when you look at what's going on, the question is, when are you, the people, going to stop allowing these people to mask as R. Kelly supporters when they are nothing but R. Kelly haters and they're here to distract and take away? What R. Kelly supporter is going to get on somebody's channel and say, well, Jasmine did suck his penis? How do you know? You wasn't even around during that time. You're a late bloomer. Your umbilical cord is still attached. We know for a fact that Jasmine ain't never talked to Robert. I have text messages from Robert that clearly said, she's a liar. Keep her away from me. I think I'll bring that out tonight. Uh-oh. Y'all done gotta get Dana started. Just like the lady that went on Twitter talking bad about me, but using my information. How you gonna talk bad about me and use my information and make it seem like you're the one that did it? You're the one that came up with it. You wasn't sitting in that daggone discussion for 2 hours and 12 minutes on a Tuesday. To be exact, September the 13th, 2021 at 10:45 p.m. You wasn't there. Let's go here. Just so people know that it's not a game. Come on. Just so people know that it's not a game when it comes to me. Here's the whole file, the whole conversation, the people and all the lies and all, the Photoshop, the Photoshopness of people. So don't come at me and say, or check it, not come at me, but don't go on Twitter and say, oh, this is your information. No. You see the file name, Allison. Got the whole conversation between her and Don Russell. Stop claiming stuff that's not yours. Give people their credit. Like that song by Giant. Dre introduced that to us. So I give the credit to Dre. Giant featuring a Shivey. It's a hot song. When will people be real these days? Last but not least, like I said, when I'm gone, y'all gonna look for me in another form. And y'all gonna wish that y'all understood and treated Dana right. But let's go here. United States versus Derell McDavid. Defendant McDavid's response regarding motion to sever. Comes now the defendant, Derell McDavid. Hereafter, Mr. McDavid, by and through his attorneys, Bo B. Brindley, Vadim Glosman, and Blair T. Westover, and provides the following response regarding defendant Kelly's motion to sever. Mr. McDavid files this response to co-defendant Robert Kelly's May 16, 2022 motion to sever, not for the purpose of opposing severance, an issue on which Mr. McDavid takes no position, but for the purpose of correcting abject and unsupported falsehoods, which have been recklessly foisted upon this court by counsel for Mr. Kelly in an apparent effort to circumvent this court's denial of her motion to continue, docket 196. That right there signals attitude, anger. It is one thing to believe you deserve a continuance and disagree with the decision to deny it. That happens to all trial attorneys. It is even understandable for an attorney to be annoyed at the denial of a continuance and those who oppose it. But it is another thing altogether to manufacture the need for severance from a patchwork of bare allegations that recklessly impugn the integrity of respected members of the bar and falsely malign a co-defendant while presenting not a shred of actual evidence that supports these sweeping contentions that are made with neither tact nor tether to reality. Oh boy, here we go. Here we go. Lawyer versus lawyer. Even a superficial examination of the actual evidence in this case makes plain that Mr. Kelly's baseless allegations against Edward Jensen, and by extension, Mr. Glozman and Mr. McDavid, are without merit. Even a cursory understanding of the evidence suggests that anyone making the allegations set forth in the motion to sever is either woefully uninformed or purposely mendacious. Mr. McDavid empathetically disagrees with the arguments made in paragraph 1830 of Mr. Kelly's motion to sever. See docket 196, 18 or 30. In summary, Mr. Kelly alleges that the late Edward Jensen engaged in misconduct or perhaps criminal actions while preparing for Mr. Kelly's 2002 trial in Cook County. Further, Mr. Kelly argues that as a result, Mr. Glozman, who was not hired by Mr. Jensen until long after Mr. Kelly's acquittal, is conflicted from representing Mr. McDavid on a case brought a decade thereafter. See docket 196, and I'm gonna stay here. Even though Glozman was hired after Robert's acquittal, that don't mean that Jensen didn't talk to him about it. So therefore, he got to go. The undersigned are concerned that Mr. Kelly's motion could be somehow construed as a basis for disqualifying Mr. Glozman and thereby depriving Mr. McDavid of his Sixth Amendment right to counsel of choice. Mr. McDavid does not take that matter lightly. Well, how is it depriving Mr. McDavid of his Sixth Amendment right to counsel of choice when is a conflict of interest? Ain't nobody tell Glozman to work for Jensen. Ain't nobody tell Glozman and to even take this case. Don't you think Derell McDavid knew Jensen? How you think Rob got to Jensen? Don't you think Derell McDavid know Jensen's trial lawyers and the people that's under him? So make it make sense. If Jensen poured everything into, what's his name? Where he at? If Jensen poured everything that he knew into Mr. Glozman, then Jensen come out after being senile and all this and dementia and all that, and come out and say, oh yeah, R. Kelly was guilty. Don't you think he had that conversation with Mr. Glozman and the rest of his lawyers? Make it make sense. You can't be this stupid. And just because you say it didn't happen, are we supposed to believe you? No, it's not going to happen. The rules do not permit, and the Sixth Amendment does not allow any finding of conflict on the part of Mr. Glozman in this sentence, nor will Mr. Glozman's former employment with Mr. Jensen affect the instant trial in any respect whatsoever. That's not true. Because in Jensen's talking to Glozman, right? What if Jensen shared some integral parts of some things? Glozman loyalty is to the bar first. And you see this. Because now you got another lawyer taking up for another lawyer. Second is to the client. So if the bar is against Robert Kelly and the client is against Robert Kelly, you think the client going to be for Robert Kelly? Make it make sense. Nor will Mr. Glozman's former employment with Mr. Jensen affect the instant trial in any respect whatsoever. Mr. Glozman was just entering high school when Mr. Jensen was hired by Mr. Kelly in 2002 and was an undergraduate at the time that Jensen representation ended in 2008. Let's stop right there. For the stupid, crazy person, and I ain't gonna call him stupid, but for the stupid, crazy person that was in Sky Life chat the other day that said that the case started in 2008 and ended in 2008, you clearly see everything that I said is right there. Robert Kelly, you need to stop backing. You need to stop backing these crazy people that say anything. However, like I said, he got indicted in 2001. He got picked up in 2001. Trial started in 2002. It was a 6-year hiatus because the government, the state was trying to find their witnesses. It ended in 2008. As I said, once again, where's the lie? Since they said that I'm a liar, where's the lie that I've told y'all from day one? You can't find it because there is none. Mr. Glozman took no part in Mr. Kelly's trial or the preparation thereof. He has absolutely no information. How do you know that? Confidential or otherwise, how you know that? Relating to that trial, how you know that? Other than what he has seen in the discovery in the instant case and what is publicly available to anyone with an internet connection and the ability to use Google. It was not until years after Mr. Jensen's representation of Mr. Kelly that Mr. Glozman was ever approached about representing anyone related to this investigation. He was ultimately engaged by one, Mr. Mcdavid, argument. Timeline in Chicago Sun-Times interview. Mr. Kelly was indicted in state court in 2002. Okay. He hired Mr. Jensen and his firm to represent him on that matter. The case was tried, and Mr. Kelly was acquitted in 2008. As Mr. Kelly notes in his severance motion, 22, according to the government, individual A, who worked with Kelly's legal team, allegedly agreed to pay money to victims and witnesses and others to ensure that they did not cooperate with law enforcement. Individual A also allegedly arranged for individual B to be paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for obtaining and returning videotapes that depicted Kelly having sexual contact with a minor. According to investigative reports, The conspiracies charged in counts 5 and 6 of the indictment occurred in part in the law offices of Ed Jensen, and that the completed crime of receiving child pornography as alleged in counts 7 and 8 of the indictment took place in Jensen's office. Docket 196, Mr. Glozman does not know individual A. He has never spoken with individual A outside of the discovery in this case. Wait a minute. Mr. Glozman does not know individual A. He has never spoken with individual A. Outside of the discovery in this case, Mr. Glozman has no special knowledge about the relationship between Mr. Jensen and individual A. As the indictment alleges, these acts, which Mr. Mcdavid will contest robustly at trial, took place between 2001 and 2008, docket 1 at 8. The only specific acts charged in counts 5 and 6 to which Mr. Kelly can possibly be referring took place in 2007 and 2008. Count 7 concerns allegations that occurred between 2001 and 2002. Count 8 occurred in 2007. What? Somebody's lying. Mr. Glozman was hired as a law clerk for another attorney working in Mr. Jensen's office in 2012. He started working directly for Mr. Jensen in June 2013, again as a law clerk. Mr. Glozman received his law license in May of 2014 and continued working for Mr. Jensen as an associate until he closed his office in November of 2017. After Mr. Jensen's law office closed, he employed Mr. Glozman periodically for the first half of 2018 to finalize some outstanding matters on behalf of some dozen or so clients. Since then, Mr. Glozman has run his own law practice. Mr. Glozman had nothing to do with any representation of Mr. Kelly at the trial and the underlying state matter, for which he was acquitted well before Mr. Glozman even became a lawyer. The remainder of Mr. Kelly's claim is a disingenuous attempt to stretch out the length of Mr. Jensen's attorney-client relationship with Mr. Kelly. It relies exclusively on an interview that the late Mr. Jensen gave to the Chicago Sun-Times in 2019. Let me see if I can get this. Nope. They took it down. They took it down. Counsel's reliance on this interview and her attacks on Mr. Jensen are quite frankly disingenuous, insulting, and perhaps worse, pointless. As the court is aware, and as stated in the interview, Mr. Jensen was at the time suffering from a latter stages of terminal cancer. What the article omits is that not only was Mr. Jensen heavily medicated at the time of the interview, but that he was rushed to the hospital shortly after the interview took place, and that the interviewer only entered Mr. Jensen's home through false pretenses. In short, relying solely on the manipulative interview of a dying man who was suffering through terminal cancer and the medications that treated is hardly the portrait of the thoughtful pursuit of truth. Many aspects of that interview were problematic, to say the least, from an ethics and client confidentiality standpoint. Nonetheless, nothing about these statements imprudently. Mr. Kelly's motion indicates that the ARDC never investigated this incident. That is false. Investigation took place and the decision was made that Mr. Jensen's license would be unaffected. If needed, documentation to that effect could be obtained. How counsel for Mr. Kelly could even purport to know whether the ARDC did a confidential inquiry remains a mystery. Given by a dying man limit Mr. Glozman representation in this case. Mr. Jensen did not consult with Mr. Glozman about the interview. How do you know that? Nor does Mr. Glozman have any special knowledge as to why Mr. Jensen made the statements therein, or indeed what those statements mean. How do you know that? See, this lawyer is speaking up for his compadre and really don't know what's going on. This is weird. Hold on, what happened? Hold on, let me read some of y'all comments. Hold on. Hey, Marcia. I swear, some of these people on these YouTube streets are delusional. I swear, these most great bad. Like, Marcia isn't crazy, not the word. R. Kelly never had a chance to get a fair fight. His right to a fair fight was taken from him. They stole this man money, and they are trying to keep R. Kelly in jail for crimes that they have committed. Facts. Okay, cool. Mr. Kelly suggests that the interview proves that his attorney-client relationship with Mr. Jensen continued after his acquittal in state court docket 196 for at least the next 10 years, probably much longer. Jensen and Kelly maintain an attorney-client relationship, emphasis added. Excuse me. The undersigned cannot figure out where Mr. Kelly's counsel is getting the word next from. It is certainly not in the article. If next, as used by Mr. Kelly's counsel, means after Mr. Kelly's acquittal, that would mean that the attorney-client relationship ended sometime in 2018 after Mr. Jensen's office was closed. That is obviously not so. Yet counsel for Mr. Kelly went even further, suggesting that the relationship probably went on much longer than 10 years after the acquittal. Mr. Jensen died in April of 2020. Presumably, counsel for Mr. Kelly would acknowledge that Mr. Jensen did not maintain an attorney-client relationship with Mr. Kelly after his death. Further use of the word probably by Mr. Kelly's counsel is an odd choice. It seems that the best way for Mr. Kelly's current counsel to discover when Mr. Jensen ceased represent Mr. Kelly would be to ask her client if she wanted to represent any meaningful support for her allegations about Mr. Jensen's representation. She would do what the Seventh Circuit requires for someone making factual allegations in a motion in which they are the proponent. Provide a supporting affidavit from the client, which asserts the claimed facts. This is, wait a minute, is this lawyer taking up for Mr. Jensen or Derell Mcdavid? This seemed like more of a defense of Mr. Jensen's name. But then here's the thing. If y'all didn't know Mr. Jensen, if Mr. Jensen ain't never shared nothing with y'all, how do you know all this in-depth stuff? It's not making sense. How would y'all know all this in-depth stuff if Mr. Jensen ain't share certain stuff with y'all? Because you can't go off of Derell Mcdavid. You can't go off of nothing Derell Mcdavid said defending Jensen. You can only go off of what Derell Mcdavid said defending Derell Mcdavid. So it says the standard procedure for the party bringing the motion, counsel for Mr. Kelly does not do that, nor could she. Mr. Kelly knows very well that there was no further representation by Mr. Jensen following his acquittal. Instead, counsel grasped at a single ambiguous statement of a terminally ill and now deceased man. Okay, watch this. If you're going to run with that, wasn't that part of what helped them come and get Robert? Make it make sense. I didn't facilitate him. he had already done what he done. Jensen said, I did facilitate him in the sense I kept him out of trouble for 10 years. I was vetting his records. I listened to him. Which ones would make a judge mad? So here's the question. But that statement right there is telling you that he held a client relationship after his acquittal, which means that Jennifer Bonjean is telling the truth. And this lawyer is mad. How can you say in a previous paragraph that they didn't have a client-attorney relationship, but then post what he said, which clearly proves they did have a client-attorney relationship? Things that make you go, Mr. Kelly's motion to severance implies that based solely on that statement, this court should somehow infer that Mr. Jensen and Mr. Kelly maintain an attorney-client relationship for a decade following Mr. Kelly's acquittal. This claim is made without any statement from Mr. Kelly that even hints that such a relationship existed. That inference is wholly unsupported by that interview. The interview does not come off as one where Mr. Jensen is contemporaneously examining records in an effort to precisely recount the time period of his attorney-client relationship with Mr. Kelly. Even if one were inclined to take 10 years as a definitive and accurate statement as to the length of representation, that would mean that the attorney-client relationship ended in 2012. That is the same year that Mr. Glozman was first employed by another attorney in Mr. Jensen's office as a law clerk, not even a full-time permanent employee. So I have a question. Just because you're not a permanent employee, you're not privileged to certain information? Stop it. If you're a law clerk, you are the one that get the paperwork together so that way they can discuss it. You the one that go through the files. You the one that organize the files. So how you, come on, man, really, who y'all think y'all playing with? At the time, there's no indication that the other attorney and to an even lesser extent, his law clerk had any dealings with Mr. Kelly. Indeed, there does not appear to have been any reason for Mr. Jensen to have any dealings with Mr. Kelly during his time. Hence, without some supporting statement from Mr. Kelly, the presentation of this allegation is both troubling and transparent. It is troubling because without any supporting statement from Kelly, these allegations can only be described as reckless and ill-considered. It is transparent because it is an obvious attempt to manipulate a way around this court's ruling regarding the trial date in this case. Mr. Glozman has no idea what Mr. Jensen meant by vetting. Are you serious? If I know what that means, how you not gonna know? In the above quoted passage, nor does Mr. Glozman have any independent knowledge of how long Mr. Kelly and Mr. Jensen attorney-client relationship lasted. Mr. Glozman does not recall having any contact with or observing anyone in Mr. Jensen's office having contact with Mr. Kelly during his time there. Mr. Glozman does not know and has never spoken with individual A. Furthermore, it seems entirely likely that Mr. Jensen, who again was in final stages of terminal cancer, was referring to the time when Mr. Kelly's state charges were pending. For example, in discussion, what he vetted, Mr. Jensen referred to the song Ignition. I was riding the car, listening to a song, and said, "Are you crazy? This is all I need." He rewrote it. Ignition. Jensen said, "It is a song related to a guy driving around in a car with his girlfriend. It was originally a high school instructor in a class teaching people how to drive a car. I changed the words." Mr. Jensen's use of the word records seems to be referencing not business records, but music records. By vetting, Mr. Jensen seems to mean listening to his music for anything that might be used against him in court. According to Google, Ignition was released by Mr. Kelly in 2002. C.R. Kelly, Ignition, Jive Records, 2002. Thus, the context does not suggest any vetting that went on following the acquittal. And Mr. Kelly's attempt to stretch out the length of his attorney-client relationship with Mr. Jensen to get closer to Mr. Glozman date of hire. He relies heavily on an imprudent interview given by a gravely ill lawyer telling stories about a 6-year-long case that ended over a decade before. Once again, hardly the portrait of the thoughtful pursuit of truth. Now, I'm on page 8 right there. I got to stop right there. Let me see. No, I'm keep going. I'm on page 8. Mr. Glozman has no confidential information regarding Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kelly argues in his severance motion that an attorney-client relationship between Kelly and Jensen was imputed to Glozman, who was Jensen's associate. Docket 196. The motion further states, based on the foregoing, any privileged information conveyed by Kelly to his prior attorney, Edward Jensen, was also received by Jensen's associate, Mr. Glozman, either actually or constructively. That's facts. Because he had to file the paperwork into the files. So that's facts. Or if the files and was in a thing that they call archives, Mr. Jensen had to go back and look at some of them archive paperwork. That is simply not how the law works in this area at all. This is a case involving success representation by a former firm. It is governed by Rule 19B of the Illinois Rule of Professional Ethics. Illinois Rule 19B is not unique or different from the model rules in any meaningful way. B, a lawyer shall not knowingly represent a person in the same or a substantially related matter in which a firm with the lawyer formerly was associated had previously represented a client. Well, here you go right here. It's telling you right there that Mr. Glozman can't represent Mr. Mcdavid. The opening paragraph B, a lawyer shall not knowingly represent a person in the same or a substantially related matter in which a firm with which the lawyer formerly was associated had previously represented the client. It says it right there. Man, this joint sounds like a run-on sentence. Whose interests are materially adverse to that person and about whom the lawyer had acquired information protected by rules 16 and 19C, that his material to the matter unless the former client gives informed consent. Jesus Christ. I don't know too much about the Illinois laws, but hey, I'm just saying. This is crazy. Illinois RSCT RPC Rule 19. In case it is not already clear from the above, Mr. Glozman has no confidential or privileged information regarding Mr. Kelly's state case, other than what has been discovered as a part of the instant indictment. He has never spoken to Mr. Kelly. nor does any statement made by Mr. Jensen in the 2019 interview provide anything close to a good faith basis for believing as much. This case is interesting to me. It's weird, but it's interesting. As the comments to Rule 1.9 make clear, this is exactly the type of situation where Mr. Glozman is absolutely permitted to represent Mr. David because no conflict acknowledged under the law exists. Second, the rule should not be so broadly cast as to preclude other persons from having reasonable choice of legal counsel. Third, the rule should not unreasonably hamper lawyers from forming new associations and taking on new clients after having left the previous association. If the concept of imputation were applied with unqualified rigor, the result would be radical curtailment of the opportunity of lawyers to move from one practice setting to another, and of the opportunity of clients to change counsel. Paragraph B operates to disqualify the lawyer only when the lawyer involved has actual knowledge of information protected by rules 1.6 and 1.9c. What up, everybody just came in? Thus, if a lawyer, while with one firm, acquired no knowledge or information relating to a particular client of the firm, and that lawyer later joined at another firm, neither the lawyer individually nor the second firm is disqualified from representing another client in the same or related matter, even though the interests of the two clients conflict. So yeah, so you just might, I mean, I agree with the severance. I agree with the severance. I really do. I agree with the severance. Comments, Illinois, RSCT, RPC, Rule 1.9, emphasis added. Mr. Kelly, hold on. Mr. Kelly asserts that in the years following Kelly's acquittal, Kelly and Jensen maintained an attorney-client relationship. If that is true, counsel should be able to do better than making an allegation that seems to be based exclusively on a far-flung exploitation. I'm an extrapolation from an already ambiguous statement in an interview, an already ambiguous statement in an interview given under what was obviously a hampered mental state. Mr. Kelly was simply not a client of Mr. Jensen during Mr. Glozman's employ. The most consternating aspect of the allegations in Mr. Kelly's motion to sever is that all of it serves absolutely no purpose. Even if the Jensen-Kelly attorney-client relationship could be in some de minimis way, that Mr. Kelly's motion does not establish, stretched into a time when Mr. Glozman worked for Mr. Jensen. Rule 1.9b still applies. Mr. Glozman did not have any privileged conversations with Mr. Kelly, nor did he obtain or have any reason to obtain confidential information. United States versus Saunders case law. Although in this case, defendant Scott's interests are materially adverse to defendant Saunders' interests, Saunders' agreement fails on the second prong of Indiana rules of professional conduct, 1.9b. because there's no basis or showing that Scott or his attorney Lawrence W. Levin, in fact, actually acquired any protected information about Saunders. Okay. And they got the case law. The rest of that is case law. If one is going to attack someone's integrity, it should at least be for a reason. Yet legally, Mr. Glozman has no conflict. Hence, nothing about him or Mr. Jensen could serve as the basis for severance. Mr. Glozman does not have any special knowledge that could put Mr. Kelly at a disadvantage. That is the simple reality of the law as it applies to the situation. All of these claims about Mr. Jensen serve no purpose under the law. Wow. Wow. Allegations regarding Mr. Mcdavid. As counsel for Mr. Mcdavid told Mr. Kelly's lawyer, Mr. Mcdavid is not going to present his defense to anyone prior to the beginning of the trial. He is not required to and would be foolish for doing so. Nonetheless, he will say that which the evidence plainly demonstrates to anyone who actually looks at it. Derell Mcdavid never took $1 from Mr. Kelly. What? Derell Mcdavid never took $1 from Robert Kelly without authorization and justification. What? Derell Mcdavid never took $1 from Robert Kelly without authorization and justification. As with the claims regarding Mr. Jensen and Mr. Glozman, counsel for Mr. Kelly uses conjecture, bare allegation, and conclusory statements to stand in for that which is missing in the motion to sever. Citation to any actual exhibits or proven facts about Mr. Mcdavid's handling of his client's finances. Oh, man. Now they lying for the truth. Counsel for Mr. Kelly has indicated a difficulty in getting through all of the discovery. Perhaps that is the explanation for these claims about Mr. Mcdavid. If not, it is hard to imagine from whence these assertions find their genesis. Mr. Kelly's motion ignores detailed audits that were conducted regarding all of Mr. Kelly's accounts and Mr. Mcdavid's handling of them, nor does it reference the independent lawyers who represented Mr. Kelly regarding his contractual relationship with Mr. Mcdavid and counseled him about the contract's terms and the settlement of the subsequent lawsuit. When an individual has his own independent legal team examining a contract's terms at the time of execution and negotiating a settlement upon its subsequent breach, it is rather hard to divine the sense in which the individual was somehow tricked by the contract process. If Mr. Kelly had evidence contradicting these common sense reality, he would no doubt present it. The fact that he does not speaks volumes. Mr. David will not take the time to dignify each of Mr. Kelly's allegations, which are made without citation to any exhibit or statement from Mr. Kelly with a response. What he will do is remind the court of the simple proposition that the proponent of a severance motion bears the burden of proving the allegations alleged to justify severance. That is not a controversial point of law. Yet, when it comes to proof, something proof supporting any of the allegations that Mr. Mcdavid, Mr. Kelly's motion cites none. This is because reference to actual evidence will not possibly aid Mr. Kelly's cause in contending some sort of theft or bad faith by Mr. Mcdavid. There was none. Wow. So they really believe that they didn't do anything, for that Mr. Mcdavid didn't do anything. Will there be antagonistic defenses? Mr. David does not have any reason to believe there should be, but it is always possible. Should there be a severance? Maybe. Nonetheless, one cannot manufacture a basis for such a severance by making reckless accusations in the absence of actual proof. The law does not allow it, thankfully so. Conclusion: Mr. Mcdavid does not object to Mr. Kelly's motion to sever. However, severance should not be granted. That means you objected to it. This man is talking in circles. Mr. Mcdavid does not object to Mr. Kelly's motion to sever. However, severance should not be granted, nor should any other action be taken by this court based on unsupported and unproven allegations. Respectfully submitted, Derell Mcdavid trial team. This is crazy. This is crazy. So my question is, what do y'all think? What do y'all think? That's my question. I want to know what y'all think. Then I'm gonna look at the responses. What do y'all think? I see. Let me start. What up, Prima? My sister in the building, man. Look, don't forget Prima Donna Pastries, man. And you're gonna molest your screen. I'm gonna tell you that now. And they all had their hands in the pot. Facts. Who referred those attorneys, though? Exactly. I'm just saying. Okay. Hey there, Prima Donna. ATB said, so that means the female lawyer that quit in the beginning. Yep. ATB, hey, Mr. Jones, Angel Barrett, Jay-Z, and other rappers are snakes. Yeah, we know that. Hello, Miss G. Angel, hey there, Angel Barrett. Yep. Prima Donna, FOH, fuck out of here. They want to proceed, but Slick Hinton Kelly should prove his janky BS. Right. That part right there. ATB, hey. What do y'all think? I know it's more than Prima Donna in there. What do y'all think? I'll be right back. Run to the bathroom. Ooh.
Get the bag. Get the bag. Y'all niggas know what it is. You know we get the bag. Get the bag. And you know we get the bag. And you know I get the bag. We get the bag. Too big. Look at the whip. Look at the whip. Check out the wrist. Check out the wrist. Walk in the club. Walk in the club. Already lit. Already lit. Got niggas on wait. Hold up. Got bitches on go. Come on, come on. Got perp by the pound. Perp by the pound. So you know we gon' blow. You know we gon' blow. She throwing pussy, so I'm throwing money. Bend it over, now she putting it on me. Left a man become a VIP. Nigga looking like he wanna run up on me. Nah, just in case 100,000 on me. Yeah. One for calling, that's 100 homies. Yeah. 20 bitches out the club, we take them to the crib and in the whole party there. And you know we get the bag. No grocery, we really get the bag. Hey. Pull up in the phone, hop up with a phone, hit the mall and pop tag. Hey. When a nigga was a young boy, all I thought him was getting the cash. Yeah, a nigga getting the money now, so you know a nigga gon' brag. Bragging, still keep it hood, kills all good, dreams still on side. On side, bank account need to work out 'cause it's so fat. And you know we get the bag. it's the bed.
Run it up, she wanna ride around in the Billy truck. Her and a nigga, they done broke it up. Way back in the Maybach, suck it up. Private plane with the gang, take a trip. It's your man, you insane, she the rip. I get the bag, hop in the level when I do the dash. My heart on my pick is all glass. When we get your bitch and I smash. I'ma suicide door, just a flex. I'ma put the product with the Saint Laurent, yeah. I'ma turn 100 to a million, no finesse. I'ma take the jet with the gang, cause we blessed. And my neck, white coat, VVA. I'ma put the paddock on, crystal light milk. I'ma get the bag, no help with myself. I'ma buy everything on the shelf. Now we in Dubai with the water like Phelps. Keep a secret, be quiet, don't tell. Young nigga up my wealth. My drip ain't fair, my club ain't fair. I feel like this my year. Spend $250,000 on my ear. I'ma get the bag all year. I'ma hit your bitch from the rear. Hop up in the coupe, hit.
All right. So Prima said, is that a bluff? Derell, Ms. AT said Derell Mcdavid going down. Injustice for R. Kelly. Injustice for R. Kelly said, I think both of them are scumbags. The king will be free soon. Okay. I agree with that. Ms. Lady T said, Ready Red, hey. Who? ATB said, so the female lawyer, do she know where everything is at? The female lawyer dead. ATB, the female lawyer is dead. And I find it funny that she got killed. She ain't died naturally. She got killed. Georgia Girl said Jennifer on that next. Dapping D said, I think they are still full of it. Linda put, hey, Willie Jones have, hey, Ready Red. Okay. ATB said, Miss Lady T, hi. Here for my lunch break. ATB said, some of my soldiers here too. Thank y'all so much, ATB and the soldiers. I appreciate y'all. Prima Donna said, time's up, Derell. Time's up, Mcdavid. I agree. JT, Prima Donna facts. Willie said, Mcdavid trying to deny it for embezzlement, R. Kelly's money, and ain't going to work. And Howard 2180 said, sever Robert from that piece of dookie. Last said the king is coming home. Yep. And ATB said, really? Prima Donna said, why the feds ain't figured out who hit Linda Minch? That part right there, Prima. They had that lady killed. Because they know that she would have testified and it wouldn't look good. So it's starting to make sense. Because whoever hit Linda Minch, can't that be considered murder for hire as well? Nikki M said, Prima, yes. So what do y'all think about that motion? I think that motion was bullcrap. Derell Mcdavid and Susan Loggins are the real head of the RICO. J-Rock said that. Prima Donna 100. Okay, cool. Here's what I'm gonna say. The motion is full of cat, right? Willie just said all I was about to say. J-Rock in the building, Nikki M in the building. So on some real stuff, man, it's really unfair how Chris Starry in the building it's really unfair how this is trying to unfold. This is really unfair. So I got one last thing before I get out of here, y'all. I'm gonna let y'all hear this. This is about 6ix9ine. This happened the other night. This is about when 6ix9ine got jumped on, right? I want y'all to listen to what he say. Real carefully.
He came in the corner. Was Nipsey a stand tall nigga? I don't know. Was Pop Smoke a stand tall nigga?
I can't say that.
Was King Von a stand up tall nigga?
King Von was a get busy nigga.
All right, so why was he lacking? Why was he lacking?
You know what?
Why was he lacking?
It doesn't matter.
So what is King Von right now?
He's dead. But what's the point though?
I'm right there. So King Von is a solid nigga, and he got killed, right? The nigga pulled out and put 5 in him, right? And he dead, right?
You hurt my feelings.
No. Hear what I'm saying. King Von died lacking. Nipsey died lacking. Pop Smoke died lacking.
Right.
So niggas can't lack?
No, you can't.
Everybody gonna say the shoulda, coulda, woulda. It wasn't true. It happened to the best of them. Was Nipsey a stand tall nigga?
I don't know.
Was Pop Smoke a stand tall nigga?
I can't say that.
Was King Von a stand up tall nigga?
King Von was a get busy nigga.
All right, so why was he lacking? Why was he lacking?
You know what?
Why was he lacking?
It doesn't matter.
So what is King Von right now?
He's dead. But what's the point though?
I'm right there. So King Von is a solid nigga, and he got killed, right? The nigga pulled out and put 5 in him, right? And he dead, right?
You hurt my feelings.
No. Hear what I'm saying. King Von died lacking. Nipsey died lacking. Pop Smoke died lacking.
Right.
So niggas can't lack?
No, you can't.
Everybody gonna say the shoulda, coulda, woulda. It wasn't true. It happened to the best of them.
Man, that right there was 6ix9ine in his rarest form. Then he realized that anybody can be touched. And he was running around saying that he was Mr. Invincible. He can't be touched, and he got touched. Somewhere down the line, he was lacking. That's what that come from. But back to what we was talking about. ATB said Mcdavid does have a business, right? Yep. Can they go back when he first opened the business, see where the money came from? Of course. Of course. And I think that's what they're going to do. I'm quite sure they got all Derell Mcdavid stuff. Gospel Glam, hey. I'm quite sure they do. But look, I'm about to get up out of here. I see y'all later tonight. Don't forget Game 2, Eastern Conference Finals. DanaJay up out of here. But before I go, I gotta play that one more time. Giant Hula Hoop featuring Shabby. Production by Dre, I believe, and appearance by Dre. All right, y'all have a good day. Hula.
I pull up to the club in slow motion, then I jump out. Instantly 100 camera phones pop out. I run straight to the back of the club in the corner. In the bartender sipping bottles of the bubbly. Once I started sipping, ugly girls was looking pretty. Then I saw one that caught my eye. She wore a baby doll shirt across her chest, a red Disney. Her skinny jeans, the girl's so fine. Some people say that this girl has a bad reputation. And some people say that this girl is a little too friendly. But she roll that booty like a hula hoop. She make it go up, she make it go down. She roll that booty like a hula hoop. I think I love her. I just wanna be all sorry, think about. She roll that booty like people say that this girl has a bad reputation. And some people say that this girl is a little too friendly. But she wanna be like a hula hoop. She make it go up, she make it go down. She wanna be like a hula hoop. I think I love her. I just wanna be all shawty think about. She wanna be like a hula hoop. She make it go up, she make it go down. She wanna be like a hula hoop.
Like a
I think I love her. I just wanna be all shawty.
Let me talk to him. Yeah, that girl got a thing that'll make a man feel like she blew his mind. She does her and she let me do I. This one so ahead of her time. She gets down just right when we in the sheets. Still down when we ride, gotta hit the street. You should see her kitchen skills. That girl can't handle me, and that's why I'm cool with ya. Make a nigga stay true to ya. You even be rolling my Dutches, blowing nose like a hula hoop. Sweet tooth every day. She wantin' my Snickers bar, well I'm wantin' her Milky Way.
She make it go up, she make it go down. She wanna be like a hula hoop. I think I love her. I just wanna be all shawty think about. She wanna be like a hula hoop. She make it go up, she make it go down. She wanna be like a hula hoop. I think I love her. I just wanna be all shawty think about.
Shout out to everybody that came in late. Shout out to people that's at work. Y'all have a good day. I thank everybody for joining me for this lunch ride hour. Shout out to Nettie B. Praying for your health. Hail Mary. Yes, it do sound like a public announcement. Hey, Dre dropped it. Thank everybody for joining me. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world, but y'all was here with me today. I'll see y'all tonight. Y'all be blessed. DanaJay up out. Much love and nothing but hair grease. Come on. Keep that peace alive and keep that love going. One.
The boy never let me get sick with the medicine. On the block distributing right with the medicine. Haters don't like me, heard they wanna fight me. Teflon at your chest, I bet you can't fight these. Mad cause I'm getting dope, Pillsbury ill flow. Niggas love to move snow, you sick of me, don't care though. Yes, I'm a savage, out for the cabbage. Catch the boy armed up, full metal alchemist. Yes, I'm ill, and yeah, I'm so real. Coward ass niggas coming home without an appeal. Damn, how this getting done? Tell me what's the outcome? Anybody wanna see me? Tell them where the fuck I'm from. Patrol homes, red rum. Yeah, we get the job done. Out trying to stack chips, make these haters so sick. If they sick of that, then they really gon' be sick of this. Santa Claus Viper, haters Merry Christmas.
Swimming in you, hey, little mama, said I wanna take a dip in your pool. Just go for a little dive there. Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sound like.
What's good? What's good? What's good? What's good? What's good?
Man, what you sound like you sleep?
I was in here cleaning out my closet. I'm trying to clean up. Straighten up. What's going on?
I ain't not chilling.
You got work?
You know it.